Welcome to the Didi and Lital Show. Advice, thoughts, and stories from a married couple on cybersecurity, technology, and life in general. Now here are your hosts, Didi and Lital.
Hello, and welcome to the Didi and Lital Show. It's another week, and how things are going, Didi?
Fuck Canada. Let's start with the important part. Fuck Canada. And fuck whomever is the coach for Team USA. I think it's Mike Sullivan. Can't they tell him to cover the best player in the world in the slot? It's like the JV coach would have known to do that. So for those that don't know, we're recording post the very traumatic loss the Team USA had to Team Canada. We should have won. They changed the fucking anthem. Besides the sissy, all of us, rather than all your sons, to be inclusive. Now it's only us, or whatever the fuck it was, to just say to Trump, basically, we don't like you. Don't play with the anthem. Leave the anthem as it is. It was written by old people, and cover the best player in hockey in the slot. This is kind of my conclusions from that. The Bruins continue being so very bad losers. I went to the game on Tuesday against the Leafs. I thought, here's a team that will fuck it up and give you a win because they're just bigger losers than you. And no, we found a way to lose to the Leafs after having a 3-0 lead. So that's me coming back. But the Club Med, that was so awesome.
So we're going to dedicate our episode to, We're just back from a week skiing in Europe, in the French Alps, in a place called Alpe d'Huez, which is like, if you look at the map, it's like 3 hours drive from Geneva. It's part of like a lot of ski resorts that you have in the region. And that was one of our best vacations ever.
Yes.
So we decided we're going to dedicate this episode for kind of analyzing why it was freaking the best vacation ever and why you should consider it too. So we'll break it into details because I think we have a...
And why it's impactful on your business.
Absolutely. We have a lot of kind of insights for, how they run this business, how the user experience is. We learned a ton. So let's unpack. It all comes to Didi and I being super last minute decision makers. We typically book the kids' February break vacation in advance.
6 months in advance.
At least 6 months in advance. This year, the kids, we didn't know which hockey team in the high school they're going to play with. We didn't know what will be the situation of the hockey season. So we didn't book anything. And then a month before, we were like, the weather here in Boston was like minus 12 centigrade every day since, I think,
weather
December.
Was terrible. The vacation was terrible. Hockey was terrible. Everything was terrible. We said, fuck it.
We need a vacation. We need to go away. And
Lital wanted the Caribbeans, and I was like,
Didi and the kids wanted skiing. We realized that our twins are in the junior year, so probably we only have 2 more years to go to do this kind of things before they go to college or military or whatever they're going to do. So let's go do it.
Even more. They're cheap. They'll mooch off us for a long time.
That's fine, but it might not be synced in time to get everyone on vacation. So we started looking, and we thought maybe we go to Utah, Colorado skiing, West Coast, because we don't like skiing in the East Coast anymore. It's like skiing in the East Coast, if you're not familiar with it, is basically hockey. It's ice skating.
Yes.
So cold, so much not fun. It's so rare to get fresh powder that is nice and sleek. And I'm an old lady and I hate falling on the ice. I hate skiing on the ice. I don't like skiing that much. Skiing for me, it's kind of like hiking. It's something to do in nature and be outside. I don't want to risk my health. I don't want to break a bone. So I want to do skiing, but I want to do it in an easy thing that you get in the West Coast. Yes. Yeah.
So let's start with the important part.
Yep.
Of how did you end up skiing? Because this is an important part of the whole story.
Yeah, I ski because of him.
Yes.
We started dating. I think we already told you a gazillion of stories about us dating. getting online and then
Yeah,
meeting each other. But the point was, we started dating. Almost the first thing Didi tells me is, you date me, you ski.
Yes.
Whomever dates me skis. I
Yes.
ski, you ski. You started skiing at the age of 3 or something,
Something
right?
like that, yes.
Yeah, as a kid, you skied every winter. Your dad was going to Austria to meet with his friend from med school. So you've been skiing. I was, 27,
Yes.
maybe. Never skied, never, I hardly saw snow in my life at that point, other than living in New York and, seeing a little bit of the slush they get. So I was like, okay. So first thing, you booked the ski trip.
Yes.
Which you proposed in the ski trip. That's a
Yes.
story of its own. We might have told you that the story. We'll
tell
keep it for a different time.
Yes.
How romantic a romance is.
Yes.
But that's the story.
Or lack thereof.
So being your spouse, I need to ski.
Yes,
So
yes.
that's the thing. I don't ski as good as you. I have no inspiration of doing that, but I ski.
Yes.
And I ski for leisure. So it's fine.
So in general, we started from the wrong place because we started skiing in Europe and France together. And that is like the top fun part. Skiing, when you land in the Northeast, it's work. Everything is work. You need to bring your own gear. So the French guys were looking at me like weird of how come I own my own skis and boots and stuff like that? Because even those that ski really well
can rent really good equipment on the mountain.
Yes, and the equipment fits the conditions on the mountain. So they have the twin tips, they're not twin tips.
They have different levels of
Yes.
skis for your level of skiing.
Exactly. The first time we got here, we saw that basically you ski on planks here. When you get stuff in the Northeast, nothing is fun, nothing's available.
Well, the rental are ruined.
The rental are ruined by the state of the stuff. The whole resort is like ruined. It's like shitty food.
Well,
Shitty lifts.
the food is what you get around here. It's basically overpriced. Overpriced McDonald's at best. Sometimes even worse than that.
Yes.
And if you go to Canada, it's a Tim Horton.
No. It's Canada. I skied in Whistler. Whistler is tons of fun.
That's West Coast.
Yes.
We're talking East Coast.
Oh, West Coast. No.
Go back to East Coast.
Well, the East Coast in general, as a thought, they don't like fun, which is something that we're going to talk about in the podcast of Why France. The French like fun. Americans in general don't like fun. East Coast Americans, especially Massachusetts, it's like fun is prohibited. They do whatever they can.
We live in Sparta.
Yes.
You need to
Everything
work
is
hard.
suffering. Like Sean was writing yesterday about the fact that they need to replace their own faucet because there's like no services. Nobody likes to give you services, help you, make your life
No, a lot
easier.
of people like it's a mindset. People don't use those service providers
Because they like suffering.
They just like to do those things. It's like you go to Cape Cod to the beach in the summer, like you need to bring your seats and
Yes.
you need to bring your food and the cooler. And there is no like nice cabanas. There is no like service of alcohol.
Yes.
It's the same. Summer vacation and
Alcohol in a
winter
glass.
vacation.
Cold beer in a glass on a mountain is so nice.
Same as at the beach.
Yes.
And you cannot have it here because,
can't.
oh my God, alcohol consumption out
Yes.
there.
Yes.
God forbid.
So going back to why France. So one of the things that this is important for business assumptions is don't make bad assumptions. Almost everybody that we talk to assumes that going to France is more expensive
than going
out.
to Colorado.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
staying in the US, cheaper.
Or longer. That is not true. Right now, if I need to go to Whistler, there's no direct flight from Boston to Vancouver, God forbid. So I either need to fly to Seattle and then take a puddle jumper, and that's the best location.
Well, there
on
is
this continent.
direct to Salt Lake City,
There is
which
a
is
direct-
really good.
Which is insanely
Yeah,
expensive.
but insanely expensive. That's the week of February break. So direct flight from Boston were $3,000
Yes.
per person.
Yes. To Salt Lake. So Salt Lake,
I mean, and to admit it, we were a month before
Yes.
the vacation.
but even when you look at it, I did the comparison now because we booked for next year. I did the comparison now. It's still, I can get the whole flight on points going to Europe, and I can't get there's already blackout dates on flights to Utah a year in advance.
So
like insane.
first, flying to Europe is so much nicer. You get much better
International
planes.
liners.
International liners. They're usually not as delayed, and they go on time because the Europeans make them pay fees if
Yep.
they miss the time slot of getting off. So we're not happening here during vacation time, and if you have a blizzard at that time, weather conditions and stuff, things are delayed like crazy.
Yep.
And you actually get overnight nice flight.
Yes.
That, you get to the place refreshed. All of the transatlantic flights, always red eye. And a decent one when you actually it's an 8-hour flight. So you get 6.5 hours of sleep. That's legit. When you think about the time from Boston to Utah, it's usually a day flight. With the time zone and stuff, you get rewarded with a few hours, but it sucks. It's a day flight. So that's another thing to think about. Why Europe? So price, food, also prices of ski passes are double nowadays, if not triple. You're saying quadruple. People don't necessarily see.
Right now,
it's a podcast.
Because So what happened was since Vail
bought all the mountains, Epic Pass took over.
You have to get like a week Epic Pass, and that's $1,500. The price of a day where we were is 35 euros.
Yeah.
Ski school in the US is $120 an hour. An hour. So and you pay per person joining the group. So the class that you and Leah
we had like a full day, me and Leah, like family full day private lesson,
and it was brought anybody that we wanted. So
and it was like $400 for the full day.
Exactly. So this is an insane gap. So ski school gouges you, and also there's no, and this is when we'll get to why Club Med or why other things. There's also no level of service. This is another thing that people don't consider. When I was talking to Yotam, who's going to Colorado, the kids resist ski school. Remember, our kids really didn't stop liking going to ski school around when they were 10-ish.
Yeah.
They said enough's enough, because ski school here, both on this coast and the other coast, is like a housing facility for the kids. It meant to house the kids and let the parents ski versus actually teach them how to ski. The ski school, ESF, the École Ski Français, is built to teach how to ski. So now let's
challenge them and like grow their capabilities.
Yes. So this is the whole the whole trip to Europe was a very good lesson in what is called total cost of ownership. You'll see a lot of times that companies are what we call penny wise and pound stupid. That they'll save on one place. So back to our favorite topic, identity. People will buy Azure because it's free, air quotes, but it's not. You need to staff it by 5 times more people and deal with how to deal with end-to-end problems and stuff like that. We did a very good analysis of total cost of ownership, which is flights, food, services that we care about, and also what is
storing the skis overnight, ski in, ski out, transportation.
Yes, and what is called value-added services. So sometimes value-added services,
like the quality of ski school. What are we actually going to get out of a week of skiing, the kids skiing?
Exactly. The quality of what you'll get out of the service is a critical. And when you do the comparison, when you put in Excel, and we did, Excel is your friend. When you run a business or you run a vacation, Excel is your friend. And you put stuff in an Excel and you put them side by side. And this is something that you'll see a lot of times when you engage with doing business in the US, is that initial cost will be low and then somebody will piecemeal stuff out of you. So for example, the all-inclusive of Club Med, but we'll talk about Club Med, reduces the total cost of the vacation, because you don't need to pay for $20 burgers for very hungry teens. Did we cover enough of why Europe?
I think we covered enough. Why Europe?
Okay. And the euro right now is almost at parity. It's 104. So
yeah, it's at parity. I mean,
it's basically parity,
Flat
which
rate.
means that everything is going to be a lot cheaper, and everything you consume is going to be significantly cheaper.
Yeah. So let's talk why we went to Club Med.
Yes.
And here we have huge thing to tell you about the beautiful business of Club Med and some insights. So it's I talked to one of the women in my group is an American from New York, who grew up in New York, and she has a French husband that told her, let's try and go this year to Club Med. And she was like, Club Med? Isn't it something from the 70s with hands up and all those dances? Like, does it still exist? It's a thing?
Yes, it
She
does.
was like, so
Yes,
Americans are not kind of like exposed to, or maybe they know a little bit of it. It's a little bit like
Yes.
the Love Boat. You come for a week for a place and all those, there you go, all kinds of hands up and
Hands up, baby, hands up. Give me your heart.
yeah, they have dances. They call it crazy signs.
Yes.
So Club Med, yes, it's an organization that I think is now celebrating 75 years.
Yes.
Actually, they celebrated sometimes in the 90s, the 45th year, and they still carry all those merchandises from that. It's a
Yes.
little bit weird, but I think you and I together have been to at least 20
Yes.
vacations in Club Med.
Yes.
Both what they call the summer Club Med and the ski Club Med, the winter Club Med. We've been to Club Meds in the Mediterranean, in Europe, and even in the US,
Yes.
and even in Canada.
Yes.
Charlevoix
Best food ever. Best food ever.
Absolutely. There is a really new, beautiful Club Med 2 hours north of Montreal.
Yes.
Quebecois, the people
Quebecois.
there,
Quebecois.
the people there are more French than the French. Like they hate Americans more than the French do.
Yes.
So let's talk about Club Med
Yes.
and why
And
Club
by the
Med
way,
and why
I
we
will
love it
pause
and
for
why
1 sec.
people need to consider. And I want to say, before we get into that, I just have a realization.
Yes.
This is a podcast that is like really the top of the first world problems that we are kind of discussing here. So let's acknowledge the privilege that we have,
Yes.
not in the way of like we are standing on taking land.
Yes.
But obviously not everyone can afford a ski trip to Europe. And we understand, and we are extremely, first, I want to say, we're extremely privileged and that we can afford it, and it's something that we're doing, and we do appreciate it a lot. We appreciate a lot the fact that we can do those great vacations. Actually, it's one of the things that are top of priority for us in terms of investment. Like we wouldn't invest necessarily in an expensive car.
Yeah.
We prefer to drive an old car and go on twice a week expensive vacation because we think it's quality time and it's...
Twice a year, not twice a week.
Did I say twice a week?
Yes.
Oh my God. I wish.
That's your desires. But
Yeah,
twice a
no,
year.
maybe when we retire after, exiting a few other startups.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's first say it. I do think that there are some takeaways that even if you cannot afford this level of vacation, you can take into your daily life. So I just want to acknowledge
and
that.
it's also for the planners. I think when I'm looking at the predicted cost of next year, it's a third of what it cost us this year.
Because of the last minute. Yeah.
Because if
So
you-
we already booked next year
Yeah.
at Club Med, and now it's a third of the cost of what we actually paid because we were waiting for the last minute.
Yeah.
So book now your next year's trip, and there you go. You'll
School
be
vacations
fine.
are still school vacations.
Yeah, the
a lot-
dates are same.
And a
the
lot of
same.
people do plan ahead. So most people do plan ahead. If you plan ahead, this is a great thing. And now the Y Club Med.
Yes.
The Y Club Med is because one of the things that I treat as vacation, I need to make decisions all day long. Everything I do in my job, in my last 20 years of jobs, is make decisions.
Mm-hmm.
What I want as vacation is to not make decisions. And Club Med tells you what to wear for the nightclub.
They send you in advance every night. That's part of that. What's the theme? So you
And
can
the dress
pack in
code.
advance, clothing that match the theme and feel like you're part of the fun.
Yes, the fact that I don't need to decide what to wear is awesome. The fact that I don't need to decide what to eat and where to go to eat because it's all inclusive is awesome. And if you build a pattern of what to make decisions on the all inclusive, they have all these little cool starter dishes. If you focus on those things, you don't need to make any more decisions. I got an art of making zero.
Not even picking things at the buffet.
Exactly. I got an art of zero thought process.
Oh my God, the food is so good.
The food was-
Club Med has, we went to some resorts in Punta Cana and Cancun, American stuff. Food in the resorts were okay.
Yeah.
Like buffets, usually not so good. Club Med is a completely different level of food quality, freshness,
Yes.
health, ingredients that are top notch.
And I think this is part of what their business model was when they reinvented themselves, is to be able to provide a very unique service. And that, by the way, when we talk about our business, this is something that you need to think when you compete with the bigger companies, is you need to be a boutique. You need to be able to give amazing service. People people really think about the wholeness of the service, the completeness of the service, and the quality of the service. And this is something that the club has decided to focus on, that you feel encapsulated by the service. There's no problem that they will not address.
So the minute you come in, the guys come to you, the receptionist, not just, you don't need to come to the desk, they actually come to you and they offer you a drink and to sit down on a couch and talk to you about the resort and take you to a tour of where things are. The amazing thing is that they have a WhatsApp number.
Yep.
They give you the number with the reception and they're like, you don't need to call the reception. You don't need to do anything. Just WhatsApp us if you need extra towels or you need drinks to your room or whatever. And they respond on WhatsApp. What's more, like the way I WhatsApp Didi, I send him, I need this and this. I can WhatsApp that. It's the small thing that no hotel does these days. And they were super responsive. Like everything we asked for, they immediately interacted with us.
Yes.
That was so good.
Yeah.
And these small things. I'll give you an example of something that I was like blown away by the way they kind of like figure it out, everything. So the whole experience in Club Med is that the whole team there, no matter if you're working in the front desk, in the boutique, your food server and stuff, you have a show in the evening and everybody participates in the show. They have like their own, it's like a little bit like high school kind of show, but it's super cute. Everybody loves it. Then everybody dances together. They're doing those crazy signs, their hands up, or whatever modern songs they're using for that. But also now they started adding each evening to the theme a unique experience. So one night they had fireworks outside. There was a fireworks show outside. We'll talk about the weather in a second. That's a separate topic. But they have a huge balcony. Obviously, sun goes down. It's already cold. So they have the entire crew in like a second bringing, the whole place is like more than 1,000 people, right? Bringing blankets for everyone to kind of bundle up and go outside to watch the fireworks. And then in minutes, we saw them out. The minute the fireworks are done, they collect them. Of course, they served champagne during that time because it's part of the experience, and another cocktail or something. So the whole thing, they kind of like perfected the experience of this 10 minutes of going outside, seeing a quick fireworks show, getting drinks, and bundling with the yellow blankets that they gave us, and then they quickly took them down, folded them, took it away, make the whole place neat again. So people came in and I think moved to dancing or whatever was the thing.
But the thing,
so it's like
theme is the user experience. The service and the user experience is critical. To understand the user experience holistically.
Yes.
With no hidden cost, with no hidden...
Nothing. You're not asked to bring anything. You don't need to think about anything. We are taking care of you, and we're filling up your day with fun activities that promote interaction with other people. That's another thing. It's all about creating, those small interactions with other people from all over the world that are in Club Med for the week. That's what they facilitate. And they make the whole environment conducive for that.
Yep.
And that's amazing. Like, you see the small things, the way they arrange the tables, the way when you're having lunch, somebody may jump in from the crew and ask if it's okay to join your table. And they're going to talk to you and, ask about your experiences and tell about their life experiences. The crew is coming from all over the world. So the whole flow of the day, the way they build it, the way the space is built is conducive to that.
Yes, the interaction. It's built to bring people together, which is something, especially post-COVID, is something that the human interaction and the human relationship, and basically what we call the Club Med friendships, the fact that we ended up with a team, every team ended up with their own WhatsApp group and everybody's still talking to each other.
Yeah.
And you have meaningful interactions.
I met 2 CISOs on the mountain, and we talked business, and we exchanged LinkedIn connections, and maybe we'll have business together. That's super cool.
Yes.
And it's to give the contrary, when we went just before COVID to Utah, so we rented an Airbnb. So we were just on our own. We rented our car. We were on our own, and we didn't interact with anyone. We just skied. Then we had to book our dinner, find a place to go, or we went to the Whole Foods and bought some ready-made food. And it was a week. It was a week of being with our own family, which is great.
But there was work. But there was a lot of work related to this, because when you need to cook, somebody needs to cook, somebody needs to clean the dishes.
Sure.
Usually somebody's me.
And if you go out to places, especially in a holiday week, you need to book the place. You get frustrated if you don't get
no table was ever available
on the mountain. Yeah,
on time.
Yeah, you had to delay dinner to 9 p.m. to get a table.
Yeah, and even those that we didn't. When we showed up, everything was a chore. Because we had multiple dinners, and I also went with Guy and Eva the year before. The dinners were awesome, but nothing happened on time. The only time that I was in Utah when things did
you went in April, or was it already May?
It was April in COVID with the boys, and we had to go off the mountain to eat. But
you drove almost to Salt Lake.
Exactly, halfway to Salt Lake to eat. This was awesome, but still, it was one of those things that everything was another effort, and everything had hidden costs, and everything was not planned. So when we, again, look at the business model, a model with no hidden costs, where the upgrades are clear, and also what is called value-added upgrades. So people that are willing to consume expensive alcohol, that's an upgrade.
Right.
If you're willing to invest in higher-end ski gear, that's a value add. But they give you the option to value add. If you want to have your own.
Actually, they send it in advance. You have in advance all the upgrades, so you have the menu of additional food that is out of. We never needed it. We were not interested in it.
But the idea is that it's upfront, and it gives you basically the options to make the decision, and as you said, ahead of time.
Yeah.
So when you're there,
very transparent,
and that model of doing business encourages more business. At least from my perspective, most organizations we work with these days, and they want a boutique service, they want transparency. They don't want all the hidden cost of, you want this type of service because now you have an outage, now you need to have extra. that is the way to lose customers versus the way to gain customers. And it also showed that what we love to create in terms of the communities. It creates a community.
Yeah. Let's talk. Wow, this episode, we can go on and on. Let's talk for a second about valuing the returning customers and how they did it. That was another thing that blew me off.
Yeah.
So because we're returning customers, we are like gold in the loyalty. As I said, we've been to probably 20 facilities over the years of Club Med. We got like a paper from the head of the facility inviting us to a thank you cocktail in which those that are returning customers, it was so nice.
Yep.
It was by the pool, drinks, food just before dinner, and, you know, a show that was just for us. So there was like this small thing, you know, for them. And every night they have the pre-dinner cocktails anyhow.
Yep.
They just set an additional location just for, you know, the best customers, the returning customers, the most loyal ones. And we felt embraced. Like we talked to the staff there, like everyone was telling us thank you. We came in, they gave the champagne. Again, it's all about making a show about you being a loyal customer.
Yeah.
But the best thing that we had over there was the Shabbat dinner.
Before the Shabbat dinner, I do need to discuss the value of the returning customer, because acquiring a new customer, as we see, all these clubs were full. We found one that wasn't, and that's because it's harder to ski there. It requires a high level of proficiency. And we saw that things basically get booked ahead of time because they're
half of the resorts are already booked for next year.
Yes. And this is creating basically an ARR-like model.
Yeah.
From a vacation space that is not doing ARR-based model, because they're able to understand the value of their returning customer. I think this is one of the things that made it very, very clear to me. I pinged Matt after the vacation and said, look, we need to think about us the same way, because trying to acquire a new customer is insanely expensive. Making sure you have very good relationships, the holistic experience, and the customer maintenance, and the fact that they do outreach after, and make sure that you're happy and well, and basically keeping you as a returning customer and making sure you're a returning customer. This is something that a lot of businesses forget to do. They assume that churn comes as part of the business, and I think this is a really interesting to see that even the hotel business doesn't want to allow for churn. Yeah. And this is something that we as an industry need to take very seriously.
And if you think about it, all of us, we are like Marriott, Bonvoy, whatever members, but we don't get, other than, you know, get a night free in a hotel thanks to your loyalty points. You don't get this kind of, maybe somebody tells you, thank you for being, you know, a gold member. You don't get this kind of like unique experience that they give you. So that's really important. I mean, airlines think about it as well, if you are like a 1K in United or whatever. So yes, very important. Easy for software companies to think about it, and us in marketing do specific events and activities, and you know, everyone thinking about how you make your gold customers really happy. But going above and beyond, the amazing thing of like them realizing they have a unique subgroups of customers that week. So apparently there was a huge group of Jews coming from Paris this week, a few big families that come and return to Club Med, and apparently the Club Med knew about it, that they're coming, and they decided to throw for them a Shabbat dinner. Yes. And basically, without knowing who is Jewish and who is not, they found a way to reach out to the other, you know, they knew about a few of those families that were coming. A few of them, you know, pre-ordered kosher food delivery, so they knew about that. But knowing that we are Jewish, for example, well, there was an Israeli guy in the reception that realized the minute that we came in and he heard us speaking Hebrew, he came to us and said, hey, there is a Shabbat dinner on Friday night. Do you want to join? But we ended up having, I think, 300 people in a room.
Yep.
in a week that was really a tough week, with events happening in Israel, returns of some hostage bodies and stuff. People were really emotional. And the fact that they created a Shabbat dinner for us with special food, with Kiddush, with wine, the whole community came together. That was so beautiful.
Yes.
Wow. Big French families, big Brit families, a few Israelis from New York, us from Boston, Israelis living in Portugal and in other places. Surprisingly, there weren't people from Israel. Usually, it wasn't a vacation week in Israel. Usually, people come during Hanukkah or Purim. It was so special, so beautiful, and so well thought. So they took the extra mile. They didn't have to. Nobody expected it. That was a wow.
Yeah.
Really. Okay, let's talk about weather.
No, before we talk
And
about weather,
sun.
let's talk about comic relief.
Okay.
The
boys?
The boys. The boys.
Okay.
So our boys are 15 and 17 and basically disappeared on us. Ron basically had his dream vacation, which is a parent-free vacation. He put on big bucket
This kind of headsets.
And basically ignored the world, chased girls, did not know what to do, like the dog that catches the bus and didn't know what to do with this. This was very funny. I was skiing with a clinical psychologist, very sharp lady. We observed the interaction of the teens, and we said that they look like 3 years younger than others at this group, the COVID generation, because the 17-year-olds act like they're in middle school. The middle schoolers are acting like they're
in elementary school.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They still don't know how to do
because they missed 3 years of interaction.
Exactly. So it was very fascinating, and we saw Ron basically from day one. Omri took a little bit of kicking in the ass, but one of the things that Omri said is how come the girls here are so ugly and the girls there are so beautiful? Which brings me to my favorite show in the world, Shorzy. So Shorzy is based on a true element, which is known. And by the way, if you want to see a reality of how this is true, they have this character called JJ, Frankie JJ, and you see this fat guy from Quebec dating supermodels. And that is true. Somewhere there in Sudbury, Ontario, is the best relationship between ugly hockey-playing men and very good-looking women. And whenever you wonder if this is real, just think of that Alicia Cuthbert dates Dion Phaneuf, who's probably the ugliest guy in hockey. Carrie Underwood dates a hockey player just because she's Canadian. And you'll see
she's beautiful.
She's amazing.
She has the most beautiful legs, thighs.
Yes.
She works out. I love her.
And she dates an ugly hockey player because she's Canadian. And
plus, the way she sang in Trump's inauguration, she was so good.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. And in general, you'll see that this is true. That basically, especially Sudbury, Ontario, yes, there are 10s on every corner. By the way, it's not my recommendation to go there because that place is a dump. It is a fucking dump.
Didi, stay on topic.
No. But we saw...
You're going...
Yes.
Yeah, rambling.
But the key point is that Omri discovered that French girls and Soviet ladies are significantly happier and more entertaining than the malaise that is Newton. Because I think it has partially to do with the way kids dress to school here. Yes.
Like most of the girls I see, like Leah, going to school, are basically wearing a pajama.
They fell out of bed.
Oversized pants, oversized hoodies, the hoodies on, you don't see them, you don't see any of the body features.
Yeah.
And the girls over there were all with shorts and wearing tank tops and, I would say really, really, really tight clothing.
Yes.
So, the kids enjoyed it. Plus, I think, again, it's a mood.
Yes.
It's a mood. And people are more fun.
Yes.
People are more fun when are on vacation also. So there is a bias.
There is a bias.
There is a bias.
But the French are definitely
kids
having more
came
fun.
back. The boys came back and they were like, we want to date Europeans. Like European girls are hot. I guess there is also something cultural.
Don't forget that in
Permissiveness?
Don't forget that in Love Actually, one of our favorite movies of all time.
Oh, yeah.
The guy goes from the UK to Minnesota.
Is it Minnesota? I don't remember. He goes to somewhere.
He goes to some shithole
On
in a flyover state in the middle of winter and goes into a bar and comes.
4 hot girls jumping all over him just because his accent,
Exactly.
the Brits
The British accent.
is so cute.
Exactly.
So there were the cute guys from America landing with the French girls that wouldn't speak English.
Yes.
Yeah, I am. That was an interesting. The boys were really happy, and they want to go back to Europe because
Yes.
of the hot girls.
Yes.
We are way over time because we have so much to say about this holiday. I want to touch the importance of sun exposure.
Oh yes.
Wow. So at the end of the day, I want to say one thing. It might be that everything we talked about is nice and good and important, but if the weather that week would have sucked, maybe we weren't as happy. The amazing thing about the week that we were in was that there were amazing snow conditions on the mountain. I mean, at the end of the day, a little bit of slush, but the
6 feet.
snow
It was
was
the base was 6 feet of snow.
Snow was great. It was fresh, well maintained. The whole thing was well groomed, beautiful. But we had days of infinite sun.
Yes.
The specific resort is considered the one that gets the sunniest location in Europe. Amazing sun. All like from the morning you get out and you ski in direct sun. And I never realized, I think, until this vacation. I always thought that I like sun exposure. Like, I'm Israeli. I'm kind of like, that's why I hate the winters here. And when the sun goes out, like today, we have here a beautiful day. I ran outside. Wow, the sun is amazing. Sun is important. Sun
Yes.
exposure is important. And I think we as human beings living in like indoors, working on our laptops, being afraid of UV and stuff, I think we don't appreciate enough how much we are an animal that needs direct sun exposure. So many benefits for mood, sleep, well-being. That was an amazing week. Like, we soaked in the sun.
And for Bostonian, it was, for those that speak in Celsius, it was somewhere between 3 to 9 to 12 degrees Celsius.
So anything between 34 to 35
high
to
30s,
40.
It was high 30s to mid 40s.
Yeah. Oh, wow,
so
the weather was amazing.
Leah and I were walking around in the balcony in t-shirts while the weak Parisians were there in coats.
I mean, many of them were sunbathing.
Yeah. Yes.
They spent as much time as they could on the balcony soaking the sun.
But we also learned that the song "Wear Sunscreen" is correct. Wear sunscreen.
Yeah.
Because it is really important. Notice that I came back not looking like toast because I was wearing sunscreen. And I did stretch. Stretching is also important.
I mean, I will refer you. I started listening to what is it called? The Huberman show. It's like a big guru on health and science, and he has a recent, very long episode about sun exposure in general and how good it is.
Yep.
Apparently, even when we think there is no sun outside, rainy days, the infrared light wavelength are still out there, and there is like recent research about the health benefit of that. Those, really long wave rays have the ability to penetrate your skin, penetrate even your clothing, and they actually are really helpful for the mitochondria to release internal melatonin. That's something that people didn't know, that there is melatonin that is created inside the mitochondria. It's a little bit different than the circulating blood, the one that we have. And it has anti-inflammatory, antioxidant capabilities, which are really, really critical for a lot of things. I will put references to this specific episode. Super interesting. It's kind of like the latest, but
and my
basically,
VO2 max is
go out, stay out. That's the two things I kind of have. I decided that no matter what the weather, I need to spend at least 15 minutes a day outside. Ideally, when it's peak sunlight, so like 12 p.m.
Yep.
That's it.
Yes, that's it. And work out and breathe, because my VO2 max went up by 2 points.
Good for you.
Yes.
I mean, I already have it. It's kind of like very high.
Awesome. Wear sunscreen.
Wear sunscreen. And if you want to learn how to plan your next vacation, reach out to us. Maybe we can help you with some advice.
And consider the fact that service and total cost of ownership really matters when you're building an ISV.
Awesome. The Didi Lital Show is a weekly podcast. Please, please, please rate us as 5. It helps more people find out about us, and provide a link to your friends as well, so more people can enjoy it. We hope you like this episode. See you next week.
See you next week.